What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden J here. What is going on, everyone? I hope we are all doing extremely well. I am most certainly doing well today. We are officially in the second half. The All-Star break is in the books, and we are going into the big push of the season for a lot of teams that are going to be competing or just playing overall. Super exciting. My favorite time of the year. But in today's video, we are going to be recapping the New York Mets first half of the season. We're going to be going over some player analysis, some things that I liked, didn't like, some strengths, some weaknesses, and I guess what can make this team and continue to make this team successful in the second half. So let's stop wasting any more time and let's dive right into it. So first things to start off, the Mets are going into the second half with a win-loss record of 58-35. That'll give them a winning percentage of .624, which will make them first in the National League East. They currently do have some comfort room, 2.5 games ahead of the Braves, 8.5 from the Phillies, 14 from the Marlins, and 27.5 from the Nationals. One thing, I guess, to kind of comfort Mets fans, I know a lot of Mets fans saying they want the division, they want the NL East, and who doesn't? But you also do have that extra wild card spot. Like I said, there's 3 wild card spots this year. So worst case, you shoot for a wild card spot, but hey, who doesn't want the division? So I just thought, I start off by mentioning that. So let's stop wasting any more time and let's dive into a player analysis. So let's start with our infielder, and let's start with first base, Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso is having a phenomenal first half of the 2022 season. Arguably, we'll possibly get some MVP votes, and hey, can you blame him? Currently has 91 hits, 24 homers, 78 RBIs. Point to bring up with the RBIs is that is the Mets' all-time record prior to the All-Star break, surpassing David Wright's 2006 74 record. Average 265, OPS 856. Usually was hovering for most part around 900 to 850 for the season. So you like to see that there. Alonso, the power's there. No secret. But one thing with Alonso, what he's doing this year is going for the opposite way more for a lot of base hits and doubles. So he's kind of not just a power hitter because you see 91 hits. He's going for the opposite way more. I mean, he's taking a lot of 75% swings, and it's going to the opposite way. So that's going to be something really interesting for Pete to do in the second half. Go for the opposite way for base hits and doubles. Obviously, defensively, he's fine, no complaints. Offensively, definitely putting up great numbers. He was selected to the All-Star team this year, so I mean, that just proves why. So Alonso, he gets an A+ if I'm going to rate anyone. Getting into second baseman in Jeff McNeil. Jeff McNeil having a phenomenal first half of the season. Like I said, is really back to his 2019 self. As we can see, 84 hits, 4 homers, 34 ribbies, 300 average, and a 362 OBP, and a 780 OPS. This dude is capable of slapping the ball to the bat and just getting on base. He makes contact, one of the best contact percentage guys in the league. He finds a way. He ditched that launch angle, uppercut swing, and he's going back to that 2019 self, slapping the ball, and it's been a big part for him, pulling the ball down the line, gap to gap, go the opposite way, sometimes go to right field. The shift doesn't matter. He finds a way. Love what I'm seeing from McNeil. Offensively, he's great. Defensively, very versatile. You could put him in center, left, right. He finds a way. And he is also a 2022 All-Star. So that's also a good thing to mention there. Getting into it with your shortstop, Francisco Lindor. Lindor, I mean, also, interesting guy. Much better season than last year. 89 hits, 16 homers, 66 ribbies, 10 stolen bases. The average, 248. You like to see that a little bit higher, maybe. The OBP, 324. Maybe you like to see that a little bit higher. And the OPS, 756. Maybe you'd like to see that a little bit higher around the 800 mark, considering, he's hitting, second, third in the order. So Lindor, like I said, has really improved himself compared to last season, tightening up that swing. He got rid of that long swing and shortened it up. And that's been a big part to his success in the first half. He's been a little streaky with consistency, so hopefully you can try and figure that out with Lindor. But otherwise, he's doing, I guess, an up-to-par job offensively. Hopefully he can pick it up to get kind of near that contract value, but we won't even mention that. And defensively, he's been great. Defensively, Gold Glove caliber player. Getting into your third baseman, Eduardo Escobar. Loving what I'm seeing from Escobar. Nah, not really, actually. 74 hits, 11 homers. Okay, you like to see that. 40 ribbies. Okay, I like that. But then you look at the average, 224, the OBP, 279, and the OPS, 676. Yeah, not ideal. Escobar really striking out a lot, getting into a lot of 0-2 counts. He's not like he's hitting the ball hard and good things will happen. He's really not doing that. He's just fouling out and, pop flies and really nothing crazy for Escobar offensively yet. You hope he could break out because he really has been one of the worst offensive contributors to the team for the most part this season so far. So hopefully he can try and figure it out. Defensively, third base, like I said, he's not good, but he's not bad. Now, let's get into your outfield. We went over Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, Lindor, and Escobar, and that's your infield. But now getting into your starting outfield with Mark Canha. Canha having a phenomenal season, a huge table setter to this team. 70 hits, 7 home runs, 31 ribbies, a stolen base, 269 average, 370 OBP, and, of course, a 751 OPS. So with Canha, that's what you like to see there. The OBP 370 is ideal. Obviously, another table setter, kind of like Brandon Nimmo, definitely could bat second in the order if you really want him, if you really wanted him to. But he's been having a pretty good season offensively. He gets on base, he finds a way. 0-2 count doesn't make a difference. He'll walk. He'll walk, get hit by a pitch, ball and play, whatever. He finds a way. Canha, been a really great offensive hitter. Mets could not be in certain places that they are without him. Defensively, he's okay, I guess. Nothing crazy. Now, getting into your center fielder, and it's funny I mentioned the term defensively. But first, with the offense with Nimmo, 88 hits, 9 homers, 33 ribbies, 271 average, 358 OBP, 795 OPS. Nimmo, those are great stats for him. He's definitely not walking as much, but he's hitting the ball a little bit more. Strikeouts have definitely gone up, but he's still getting on base at an elite level. Nimmo, great leadoff guy. Like I said, he gets on base. Death, taxes, and Nimmo getting on base. That's what people always say. Nimmo definitely swinging the bat a little bit more. Like we said, strikeout ratios going up. Kind of trying to hit for a little bit more power. And I don't know. I mean, you tell me how that works, I guess. But I'm loving what I'm seeing from Nimmo for the most part. Defensively, this dude is insane. I mean, the sprint speed he offers in the outfield. I know people were worried about him defensively a couple years ago, and I guess that's not even a thing to say anymore because of how great of a defender Nimmo is. So yeah, Nimmo, phenomenal player. Hopefully the Mets can continue to get more excellence out of him. And of course, your last starting outfielder in Starling Marte also has been a phenomenal guy to this Mets team. 92 hits, 9 homers, 41 ribbies, 12 stolen bases, a 295 average, 345 OBP, and an 803 OPS. Marte also offers great speed. Hopefully he could steal a little bit more. But hey, he scores on a double from first to home, so I'll take that from Marte. Also named to the 2022 All-Star game. So now let's get into some of your bench. And I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on the bench. We will say for the catcher's position, James McCann, because he's not on here, because he is currently not on the roster due to him being on the IL. But with McCann, there's not really much to say. He's only played, really a short sample size due to multiple injuries. But the small time we've seen him play defensively, he's definitely gotten a little bit better than last season, obviously being in the 90th percentile in frame rate. But obviously, offensively offers nothing. So that's my McCann analysis. But getting into it, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on the bench players. But Nito, backup catcher, doing a pretty good job behind the plate. Defensively, he's pretty good. Also, I think 89th percentile in frame rate, so good to see there. Offensively, like I said, you're not going to get much out of your catchers, but I mean, definitely every now and then he'll get a couple hits and drive in some runs. Same thing with Patrick Mazeika. Like I said, I mean, I'm biased because I go to the same school as him. Shout out to Stetson. But yeah, I mean, he's an okay catcher behind the plate, not an MLB hitter. You're really just having him on until McCann comes back. Getting into the bigger parts of this bench, we'll start off with J.D. Davis. And J.D. Davis, I mean, really kind of a rough season in the first half. He's hitting the ball hard, but not really anything good is happening for him. And I know there's a saying, hit the ball hard and good things will happen, but that has not been the case for J.D. Davis in the first half. It's kind of rough to see. Like I said, he's not going for the opposite way, hard power like he did in 2019. You only got 3 homers out of him. I mean, the OPS is 670. It's rough to see, especially that 234 average. It's rough to see. You hope Davis can try and level out the ball. And I mean, you really hope something could really figure out J.D. Davis. First, hitting a fastball would be ideal. Obviously, you have Dominic Smith, another guy who Mets fans are frustrated with. Really, I mean, has spent some time down in AAA this year and has been called up. Could get sent down again. We'll see how much longer could he be a New York Met in the second half. Also, not having it offers no home run value, obviously. 0 homers since July 17th of last year. So the home run and the long ball and power has not been his thing lately. He's been hitting a couple doubles lately, but nothing that's going over the fences. Has an uppercut swing that's really getting to him. Otherwise, we're gonna have to wait and see with Dom. And obviously, let's get into. And I hate to label him as a bench player, but I mean, he really isn't an everyday player on the roster, according to them. But we have Luis Guillorme, and ever since this dude shaved, he's been phenomenal. Obviously, he's versatile. He's been playing second. He's been playing third. He's been playing short. Elite defense, very Ordonez caliber. Kind of like McNeil. You see that 293 average and the 369 OBP. Slaps the bat in the ball. Gets on base somehow. You love Guillorme, definitely. He could be a big contributor to this team. We know last year he didn't get a whole lot of playing time because of ER, but now he has the shot. And getting into our last bench player on the day, we have Travis Jankowski, 9th inning defensive adjustment guy. He really isn't going to be starting, any lines in the second half. So, yeah, just offer a speed pitch runner. Now, let's get into the rotation. We'll definitely talk about that. Let's get into it with Chris Bassitt. Chris Bassitt having a pretty good season to start off, like you see. 7-6 on the season, 3.79 ERA, 102 innings pitched, 104 strikeouts, and a 1.14 whip. Chris Bassitt having a phenomenal first half. The strikeout ratio has been there for him. His large arsenal of pitches have been a big success for him. He has such a large arsenal, whether it's the fastball, the changeup, the slider, the curve. 6 pitches. I mean, you tell me how you go up against that. So Bassitt, loving what I'm seeing out of him. Long ball has been a little bit of a concern for him. But like I said with the long ball, if you could just make sure there's no one on base, you're fine. So Bassitt having a pretty good first half. Carlos Carrasco, also a guy who's having a pretty good first half. With like his numbers like ERA, you kind of got to read in between the lines with that. You see the 10-4 win-loss record, but then you look at the 4.27 ERA, and I know that's casual stuff. I mean, I should be focusing on FIP and Sierra and WHIP, but just for the sake of this video, we'll keep it casual. But 99 innings pitched, 100 strikeouts, and a 1.33 WHIP. Obviously, Carrasco, like I said, long ball has been a little bit of a concern for him. First inning complexities are no longer a thing. He got lit up in both Houston games, but for the most part has been a good pitcher. The longevity that he's been giving, the length has been phenomenal. Obviously, the fastball slider combination has been nice. The strikeouts have been nice. Hopefully, Carrasco can continue his success in the second half. Obviously, let's get into Taijuan Walker. This dude has been having a phenomenal first half. Last year, he got fatigue and the injury concern was an issue, but this year he put that to the side. 7-2 on the season, 2.55 ERA, 91 2/3 innings pitched, 73 strikeouts, and a 1.09 whip. Loving what I'm seeing out of Walker. I mean, the length he's giving this team, being a big step-up candidate when DeGrom's absent. The splitter slider has been huge for him. The split finger has been huge for him. The ground ball ratio and strikeout ratio has been fluctuating. There'll be some outings where he'll get plenty of ground balls, and then there'll be outings where he'll get plenty of strikeouts. So Walker, another phenomenal guy. And obviously, I guess the last regular starter on this, not the last, but we have David Peterson. Obviously, David Peterson stepping in for Jacob deGrom. Peterson really, comforting down deGrom's zone. Obviously, yeah, you'd much rather deGrom in his spot than him. But definitely, putting up a pretty adequate job in replacement for deGrom. Switching over to the rotation from the bullpen due to that. And Peterson, the slider has been a big thing for him. The strikeout rate's been going up. We know he has that back foot door slider. As I stated, that's been a big part to his success. Definitely walks a lot of guys. The pitch count's a little bit of a concern. We'll see. He'll go into outings and he'll be in the 5th inning and he'll have 100 pitches. So if he can kind of try and contain that pitch count, maybe get a strikeout. If he walks a guy, boom, you got a double play. Stuff like that could work for Peterson. So pretty good season for Peterson. Obviously, you have Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer, like I said, he's been absent for more than it. He was here for, April and May, but was gone for June and pretty much all of July for the most part until now. But Scherzer putting up good numbers. You like to see what you're seeing out of Mad Max Scherzer. Definitely gets very mad on the mound still, so that's pretty cool to see. But, Scherzer, like I said, I don't need to give much of an analysis. He's still the same GOAT he is. He's a fine wine. 37 years old. He's still going out there and grinding. I mean, the fastball's dominant. The slider's dominant. I mean, the movement on his pitches are just dominant. I mean, this dude just gets the job done. Great veteran guy that you get to look up to. So hopefully he can continue to have a great half of the season. Getting into it, also, I guess kind of your last starter, if you want to say. He's been splitting time in the rotation and bullpen, but Trevor Williams, also been a guy, has been big for this team, been stepping up in a lot of times. A guy who could be in the bullpen and give you some long, 3-4 out innings, but even the rotation too if someone goes down. Obviously, with the bullpen, you have guys like Colin Holderman, who's having a great year, his rookie campaign, sub-2 ERA. You have Tommy Hunter, who was recently brought in, been doing a job. You have Dolly Rodriguez, your nice lefty southpaw, who has been doing a phenomenal job. We know his role was, going in there and getting out guys like Harper and Soto, been doing a good job. Adam Ottavino, also been doing a pretty good job, more good than bad. Drew Smith, started off the season pretty good, been a little streaky lately. The home run ball has been an issue, so hopefully he can try and contain that. And I guess Seth Lugo, we'll see with Lugo. He hasn't really been able to pinpoint accuracy on his changeup, and that's been a little bit of his worries. So hopefully he can try and figure that out. But the biggest guy we got to talk about is Elite Edwin Diaz, who will also be at the 2022 All-Star Game. You look at that 1.16 on ERA, you look at the 20 saves, the 75 strikeouts in 37 and a half, and in 37 and 1/3 innings pitched. 100 percentile in strikeout rate, 100 percentile in whiff rate. He's not giving up any hard contact. Diaz is having a phenomenal year. Could possibly get reliever of the year, considering how things go with guys like Hader and other relief pitchers in the NL, or closers, as I should say. But Diaz, that fastball slider combination has been elite. The pinpoint accuracy on his pitches have been a big thing, because we know consistency last year is, he's throwing all over the place. He's throwing where he's supposed to be throwing. He has the back foot slider, the Gulf side slider, and the upstairs slider, and those have just been getting plenty of swinging and misses. So Diaz, phenomenal first half. Hopefully he can be consistent. So that's kind of a player analysis, getting into everyone. Like I said, in terms of players, the New York Mets will have 4 guys at the All-Star Game in Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, Starling Marte, and Edwin Diaz. But now getting into some other things that I think we should probably talk about, some things that I've liked. So a couple things that I've liked with this team is the dominant pitching, like I said. And this is without DeGrom, so I can only imagine what it'll be like when DeGrom comes back. But having guys like Chris Bassett, Carlos Carrasco, kind of be the leader of the pack, for a lot of the younglings, especially like Peterson and the guys in the bullpen, has been huge. The Mets are 7th in both ERA, FIP, and 8th in whip. So you like to see that. Their pitching has always been pretty much dominant. The length and longevity of the starting pitching has been big. Them going, 6-7 innings, 100 pitches has been huge, giving, your bullpen a rest. So that's been big. Their pitching has really been coming into clutch in situations. You have runners on the corners with no outs. Their pitching finds a way. So really tip of the cap to their dominant pitching. Obviously, a big another thing that I've liked is the defense. Defensively, like I said, they're not a crazy defensive team, but you see Lindor, you see Guillorme, you see McNeil, you see the double plays that these guys are turning, and I'm thinking to myself, like, whoa, that's a highlight. And just saying, you see the plays that Nimmo's making, diving on the, the outfield turf and at the warning track, taking away, extra base hits and homers. You really, I'm just loving seeing this team turn, 6-4-3 double plays and 5-4-3 double plays, and it's just insane defensive, how this team has been. Also shifting. This team has been much better when it comes to shifting. Communication has been much better than last season. I know, like, people would always say, oh, we can't shift properly. Hitters always beat us. That hasn't been the case for the Mets as much this year. They've been shifting pretty well where they've been positioning themselves. Lindor, Guillorme, McNeil, Escobar. It's been much better. So I really like that. And I guess full-on final pro would be, I guess you could say this is a pro and a weakness, but hitting with runners in scoring position in 2 outs. We know in the first half of this season, the Mets in, maybe April, May, and a little bit of June would be awesome with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. We saw that Phillies come back, that Cardinals come back, that Giants come back. They would hit anything on pretty much until the game was over. I mean, 0-2 count, one more strike to go. Oh no, Canna's going to get a base hit and drive in 2 more runs to give them the lead. Just little stuff like that has been huge. But then also recently, the last couple of weeks, it's been a little bit of it's been a little weary. Hopefully, I mean, we haven't been seeing much fundamental hitting and selective hitting with runners in scoring position. We see some guys try to play hero and they're chasing and going fishing and striking out. And so, hopefully they can try and contain that and go back to that first half of the season and, April, May mentality of, hitting with runners in scoring position. Cause they the best average with it, 272. So hopefully that could be, I guess that's kind of a pro and a con. But finishing off the cons, we're going to go a bullpen. Hopefully, the bullpen has been okay and bad. I mean, besides like Diaz and maybe like Holderman and like 1 or 2 other guys, the bullpen's been a little weary. I mean, Drew Smith has been having a rough go with it lately. Seth Lugo has. I mean, just guys, I feel the bullpen, you kind of have somewhat of a, quantity over quality mentality there, and hopefully they can try and fix that going into the second half. And at the deadline, you can try and get a setup man, because the setup man role has been hard. I mean, it's been shaken off between Dolly, Rodriguez, Tommy Hunter, Drew Smith. You need a full-on setup man that's, a definitive guy. So hopefully they can try and figure that out. Catching position, I mean, really has just been a big wear in this team. I mean, regardless of McCann's absence, still with Nito and Mazika, and even if McCann was here, offensively, you're getting 0 production from your catching position. And I get it. The catcher's job is to catch, really. People shouldn't care much about the offense. But nowadays, you kind of need the offense. And, with the DH role, who we're going to get into, you really need as much hitting as you can. And, like I said, you have the DH, so I wasn't crazy about catcher's offense. But now it's like, I don't want it to be a dead duck position where it's, 1 out, runners on the corners, and McCann gets into a ground out double play. You can't have that. So hopefully they can try and, do something with their catching position. We know that there has been some talk about Francisco Alvarez possibly getting called up this season, since he was called up to AAA Syracuse a couple weeks ago. So catching position is going to have to be really addressed, whether it's an outhouse or in-house, or just, you play it by length, I guess. So we'll see. And I guess, like I said, the DH role has been a big, unfortunate part to this season. I mean, it's been splitting time between Dom Smith and JD Davis, and they're just not doing anything. Every now and then, we'll see like McNeil DH or Guillorme DH and Alonso DH. But for the guys who should be the main DH, which is Smith and Davis, they're not doing anything. And people are saying just have the pitchers hit, because it's the DH role. That's what it was brought in for, is to bring more offense, and it's not bringing in anything. Maybe this is just the case to me, go after Dom and JD, but you're going to have to figure out something there. So the DH, that's going to have to be addressed, because, that's bottom end of the order, which is another weakness, is going to have to be discussed. And now getting into your final weakness, I'm going to go the power. Besides Pete Alonso, there hasn't really been much power for this Mets team. I get it. Alonso has been hitting a lot of home runs. Okay, yeah, that's great. I mean, you've really just been having power from Alonso, Lindor, and a little bit of Escobar. Otherwise, you haven't had much power. The Mets are 26th in home runs, and I can only imagine what that would be without Alonso. So hopefully you can try and figure that out. And I mean, listen, the Mets are, putting up, they're 6th in average and 6th in on base percentage. So you look at that and you see the runs they're scoring with base hits and doubles. But if you could translate that to home runs also and put that on top, that would be phenomenal. So, we'll have to see how things can go there. But that is really all I got to say. Player analysis, some strengths, some weaknesses. Mets are looking good going into the second half. We know last year how they collapsed. I think it'd be a little bit more harder for them to do that, considering that you're getting DeGrom back. You have a much more solidified rotation. I mean, this lineup is insane. You really got the job done there with guys that are selective hitters, productive hitters, whatever. You got a mix of power hitters, table setters, contact hitters. So you got some stuff there. Like I said, there is some stuff to work on. I don't think this is the World Series team yet. Playoff team, definitely. But World Series, I don't know. So they'll definitely still have a couple things to work on, whether they let things ride and they fix by itself, or they go for an in-house, they call someone up. We know that there's going to be some X factors like Jacob deGrom. Maybe they call up a guy like Mark Vientos from AAA Syracuse. So we'll see. Even Francisco Alvarez. So we'll see. So that is really all I got today. That is the New York Mets first half of the season. There were some great memories in the first half. The combined no-hitter, the ninth inning Phillies comeback, the ninth inning comeback against the Cardinals, that like 7-run inning against the Giants, Pete Alonso grand slams, elite defensive plays. I mean, there were so many great moments in this first half, and hopefully we will see many more in the second half. That is all I got. Till next time, baseball fans, see ya.